What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to make a Strat preset. So my birthday was last week, 7th of February, and for my birthday, I got a new American Ultra Luxe Fender Strat with Fishman Fluence pickups in it. So right now, I don't really have a preset that's dedicated to being my Strat rig. So that's what we're going to do in this video. My inspiration for the tones you're going to see me create today are Stevie Ray Vaughan. But don't let me fool you. I don't have a plan in place. We're just going to go through and experience together, and by the power of editing, you should have like a really good 10-minute video. Before we get started building today's rig, I just want to remind you guys that I do run a Patreon. So if you're interested in supporting the channel while also getting a ton of extra guitar content, consider checking it out. Patreon.com/DamionAndy. Link will be in the bio. Whenever you're there are currently over 100 different articles published for guitar. There's also what I call my VIP club, which is access to live webinars. So if you're interested in studying guitar with me in great detail, consider checking out the VIP membership. There are currently 2 webinars hosted, and we have another one this coming Thursday. So if you're interested in studying and really having a group of people to push you in a certain direction of guitar, check it out. We're really focusing on music theory for guitar, and now we're going to start pushing into the improv space, improvisation, and also songwriting. So if that's of interest of you, please consider checking it out. All right, so we're starting off on a new preset. First and foremost, the thing that I'm probably going to use is the 65 Super Reverb. This is what Stevie Ray Vaughan, Stevie played so many different amps, but this is one thing that I know he used. So what I'm going to do now, I don't really know this amp. I'm just going to kind of play through it and get a feel for it. First thing I got to do, bump this up. All right, I'm going to pull back the reverb, pull back the mids a little bit. I'm going to push bass just a hair. So truth be told, I'm not really a big Strat player. This is the first Strat I've got where I'm like starting to bond with it. Most of the time a Strat feels me leaving like a little naked sonically. So one thing I'm going to do to really help me out and to help my confidence until I become a more confident Strat player is just to give me a boost. So the Fishman Fluence series, they have 2 voicings. One is like a vintage early 50s, and the other is supposed to be like a more Texas vibe, if that makes sense. So a little bit hotter. I'm going to try to build this out spec for the vintage voice. We'll keep it like that for now. If you're curious what that riff is, that's just a little John Mayer. Another Kind of Green, I think is the name of that song. Haven't played it in a minute. But all right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a compressor. One thing I want to experiment real quick is I want to see how a compressor works differently from a sustain. Let's turn this off, and then I'm going to add in the compressor I was working with. And just to do kind of like a little bit of A/B testing to try to get a vibe for what's actually happening and how does this differ from a compressor. It is a compressor, plot twist, but trying to figure out what it's doing differently than, say, this dynamic compressor. I think that this compressor colors a little bit too much, so I'm going to keep this one on. All right, I think that's pretty good. These are probably going to be my always-on pedals. As I spend more time in this preset, that might change, but I'm really liking what that sustain pedal is doing. Ooh, that's some Ed King sounding stuff right there. Yeah, I think I'm going to pull back my treble just a hair. I better be careful. This might make me a Strat player. Usually I'm a Telly guy. Telly and Les Pauls are my jam, but, look at this thing. It's probably one of the most beautiful guitars I've ever played. It's crazy. And it's mine. The hell? Shout out to my buddy Alex. I traded him a bunch of guitars for this one. A bunch. But I'd much rather have one nicer guitar than 3 mediocre guitars. For me, the guitars were great guitars, but just from like a value standpoint. I got rid of my Ibanez's. Look, I'm a boomer with my guitar taste. I love Fender and Gibsons, and then like Heritage, I love the classics. Oh, what else should I have on here? One thing I probably should have done first is see how they're miking it. 80, wow, okay, yeah, we gotta pull this way down on our high cut filter. I don't know why I didn't do this earlier. It's because I've been spoiled. I've been using Chad's IR, but I'm trying to do something different on this one. Let's do... curious if that's coming from the boost. Let me turn everything off. Let me just, because I don't know what's causing that. Go into the amp. Now let's hit it with a boost. Now I feel like I've lost a lot of volume, but I like how clean that is. That's actually really weird. That's really finicky. In between volume 4 here, listen how much the volume drops. I don't think that's supposed to respond that way. I don't know. I'll reach out to Jason and make sure that's not some type of weird bug, because on all the other amps except for the Super, because I usually mess with the Deluxe or the Princeton and the Blues Junior. The difference is that this is supposed to interact. This is supposed to change the way that the tubes react, and amp level is supposed to change the overall output. But this is kind of doing the opposite, and I don't think it's supposed to be doing that. Or I am learning something new that the other amps do differently than the Super. See what I'm saying? Let me make sure that I'm not, I shouldn't be clipping anywhere. I don't know what I'm hearing in the room. But this is really what matters for me right now, because I'm recording with you guys from the XLR going to my cabs in the room, and I have 2 cabs sitting in stereo, so I could do a stereo thing. I'm probably just going to keep this simple, because most people probably aren't running stereo. If you are running stereo, there are some cool tricks you can do. I would probably do 2 different amp heads and split them. Maybe I'll do that in a different video. But for this is just building a workable rig, right? Then I'm running 2 quarter jack cables out into a Scarlett interface, and then my Scarlett interface is plugged into my iPhone via like an Amazon dongle that I got. And that's how I do all of these videos pretty much. So that's more important than the USB thing you saw coming out. Otherwise, it would just be a mess to try to do this. Could you do it without doing it like this? Yeah, absolutely, man. I don't know if I want to keep this fuzz on. Let me mess around with it for a little bit. I think just for me, I'm going to change it. Okay. Yeah, I'll probably keep that. Let me think if there's anything. We'll see what a bass boost adds. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to change anything here. The Pugilist is really good. Listen, if you're still an analog guy, and if you haven't converted over to the digital stuff, the Fender pedals are really good. I owned the Compressor before I sold it, and just, kind of got rid of all of my pedals to pay for this Tone Master Pro. And I was really impressed with it. I hope that they bring all of their pedal collection over to the Tone Master Pro. That would be really cool. I don't know if it's going to happen. Oh, I want this orange. Distortion. I think the only other thing I'm going to add is I'm going to add some tremolo. So let's do that now. Let's go to back. Ooh, the real question is, where do I want to put it? I think I'm going to put it before the boost. And my rationale for this is, basically, I'm going to compress the guitar signal. And this is another thing, because some people will put things in all different orders, and it's really up to you as the guitarist to come up with the order that works best for you. So I come into this as kind of a sound engineer, a music production student. We study stuff like this. So here's my thought process. The first signal that comes in is my guitar signal. I'm going to go ahead and compress that. So that's what the sustainer is. It's controlling my guitar mix. Then I like to do overdrive into distortion. Sometimes I'll change that around, but lately I like OD going into distortion a lot better than I like distortion going into OD. Now, the last thing in my chain is I like to boost. So whatever my signal is that's compressed, and you could even run 2 compressors if you want. I'm just not that crazy. But I take that compressed signal with everything else that's been happened to the guitar signal, and then I'll boost that to really push into the headspace. The cool thing about this modeler is that it acts really similar to my tube or my analog gear, all my tube gear, where like the Deluxe Reverb, for example, has a ton of overhead in it. That's why people buy it, so you can get into that overhead and really get sweet tones at a lower volume. So I kind of approach this the same exact way. Now we're going to mess around with this, where would that be? Modulation, I think. Let's do, I don't know what the difference is between all of these tremolo. Oh, I do know the vibratone, though. I like the vibratone. All right, let me take a listen. Now let's just experiment. We're going to boost it after. You can even be crazy and do it after. I don't like that at all. Whew, that's really pretty. I like that. I don't think there's anything I'd really change on this. Vibratone is just a really cool thing. Dynamics? Of course I want dynamics. Who doesn't want dynamics? Slow it down just a hair. I don't think I like the two pedals on at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the sustain because this is kind of doing a boost too, right? Here's your drive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to program this that whenever I hit a button, it's going to turn on the vibratone, but it's going to turn off the sustain. And the rationale for it is that's basically like having 3 boosts running, right? And that's what you're hearing is a little bit of that over distortion. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to program this on here, do on, off, and it is going to control these two. I want it blue. So let's make sure that it works. All right, I'm going to leave that there. The other thing that I need for this to be done is a wah. I use a wah all the time. I'm a big Kirk Hammett fan. For the inductor, I tend to use halo. For my range, I like low mid. This allows me to do a little bit of filtering. I use a wah way more than just Pac-Man. I'll also use it for filtering, which is, you can do. Adam Jones from Tool is a great example of that. All right, let me grab my pedal. I think this is done. This is a pretty complete rig, for me at least. I know some people might want more, but that's for you to do. This will be uploaded to the Fender Cloud. Let me go ahead and save it real quick. Hit save. You come to the Fender Cloud application, and you go here. All you have to do is type in my name, Damion Andy. You can find all of my rigs. Look at this. All of them. Wow, you guys really like the ambient. Oh, already got a Strat rig. All right, well, hey, now I got 2. Straturday, baby. All right. I think that's going to wrap this up.